91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Carl Gutowski and David Temple.
Yes.
I said your name, right?
Yes,
right?
you did.
Okay, wonderful. You are tuned into LocalMotion here on 91.3 WVKR. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel by that name, as well as giving a like on the Facebook page. Keep up with all the wonderful guests that we have here on LocalMotion each and every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Today, a big warm welcome back to Carl, who comes in every year, and we chat because there's a beautiful program that he's a concert manager of, called the Howland Chamber Music Circle at Howland Cultural Center in Beacon. First, I want to say, talk to me about what we just heard, please.
Yeah, that was a live performance that David Temple and I did at the Troy Savings Bank Music Hall, which is just an extraordinary place to hear music, but also to play music. There's a reason why so many great musicians have played there and want to go back there, because the acoustics are just phenomenal. So we played last year one afternoon, and a concert of flute and guitar. And I'll go back there in January with a pianist, flute and piano.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'll be playing with James Fitzwilliam. And so that was just a little medley of Shenandoah and The Water is Wide, two traditional tunes.
Beautiful. And again, Carl is the 2022 first prize winner of the National Flute Association's Adult Amateur Competition. I'm so impressed with that. I think that's wonderful. You've also played Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year, I have to say. I in the past 12 months, Carnegie Hall, Troy Savings Bank Music Hall, the big competition, and I gave 4 world premieres. It's been a great year. I've been very fortunate.
Amazing.
So I don't know. I hope I can keep it up.
You will. Practice.
Oh, I know.
And
all about that.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's wonderful. Thanks. It's wonderful.
But David and I are going to play this Saturday, actually.
Where are you playing?
In Wappingers Falls at the Zion Episcopal Church in the village.
The churches have like the best acoustics,
they do.
Don't they?
And this one is nice because it's a smaller church, so it's very intimate. It's perfect for flute and guitar.
How do people find out more about this show?
Well, my website, carlgutowski.com, and under there you'll find a list of all the concerts.
The performances. Yeah. It's a very nicely done website.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. I was really impressed by that website. And again, Carl Gutowski, and let's spell your name.
Yeah, GUTOWSKI.com.
And Carl is also the concert manager at the Howland Chamber Music Circle, which of course happens at Howland Cultural Center in Beacon, New York. What a lovely building that is.
It is. That is our identity right there in that building. We couldn't do what we're doing elsewhere and be the same organization.
The acoustics there. How long are you involved with the organization?
I think it was about 8 years ago. I joined just as a volunteer board member, and they just... I had some computer skills. That's what I do professionally. So they just kept throwing more work at me. And eventually, the founders of the series, Gwen and Bill Stevens, retired. So I took Bill's role as the concert manager. And that was maybe 6 years ago, something like that. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's all volunteer, but
kind of like this.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And we just do it out of this kind of evangelical zeal. I just want to promote classical music and chamber music, and
it's so important. We were talking about that off air. We need to get more people in this, and
we do. The
beauty of this music.
Yeah, it's been around for 400 years, 500 years, and there's a reason.
Right.
It's just great music.
Right.
But there's just a lot of barriers and a lot of misconceptions about it, I think.
Right.
But I'm always so grateful when I see new faces coming in and younger faces coming into the audience. It's, it's a great thing.
It's heartwarming. I love seeing like colleges too that have orchestras and continue that tradition, wherever it may be. It's just so lovely to see it. Now, the Howland Chamber Music Circle has been around for 30 years.
Right. This is our 30th season. And not only that, we're going to have our 300th concert this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
3 and 300th.
Exactly.
30th and 300th.
So yeah, there's reason to celebrate.
Yeah.
And, it's tough for organizations, any organization, when the founders leave. Can it really sustain itself? And we've worked very, very hard and had I'm not the only person who's there.
Right.
There's a
Right.
small army of people who
Right.
are working as volunteers to keep this running.
Why and how did Gwen and Bill Stevens start this?
Well, Gwen was a pianist, and so she had the musical skills. And Bill was an engineer at IBM. He had sort of the organizational skills. And they would do house concerts in their home. And, she had a fine piano, being a piano teacher. And they would just invite friends over and hire young musicians to come play. And at some point, they were introduced to the Howland Cultural Center. And this was 30 years ago. Before it was what it is today. And so she saw that it had the potential for being a great hall for music. And so they started with a very modest series of 3 concerts a year, and mostly local musicians. Although it's interesting, the very first season, they had a young string quartet called the St. Lawrence String Quartet. Well, here, 30 years later, they're now resident at Stanford University. They're traveling all over the world. And, we invested a little bit 30 years ago in these kids.
Right.
And they blossomed and we blossomed. And that's really been at the heart of our series. We bring in these big names, but we also invest in young musicians who are, showing a lot of potential, have won some big competition, and we'll bring them in every year as well.
It's amazing, the lineup of musicians that you get at the Howland Chamber Music. By the way, the website, howlandchambermusic.org, for tickets and information to that. The audience is what, 100, 120?
125. Just a correction, the website's howlandmusic.org.
howlandmusic.org. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, the capacity is about 125. And in recent seasons, pre-pandemic, we were selling out. And, there's been a lot of interest. And I think it's a validation that we are doing something right.
You 100% are. And you get people from everywhere because you're right in Beacon.
Right.
So you can easily get there from anywhere. I love the fact that you do like chamber groups in the fall and like a piano festival.
Yeah, that was kind of a marketing thing early on. How can we kind of group these together and get people to buy a cluster of concerts? So they came up with this idea of the piano festival. And it's grown to be so popular.
Yeah.
Those concerts always sell out. So we'll bring in 4 different pianists, 4 weeks in a row, or 4 weeks during the winter, and to come in and do these piano recitals, and they're just enormously popular.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Such a great schedule. You've already had a show.
We had 1 show, I guess. Yes, the next one's coming up this weekend.
Yes, with the Parker Quartet.
Right. Yeah, they're just so exciting. It's the 4th time they're coming back to us. They won the Grammy in, I'd say, 2011, and one of the pieces on the program this weekend is from that Grammy-winning recording.
Wow.
A string quartet by Ligeti. And I just love hearing them play. They every time they're a little bit different. They might move the instruments around, the violas on the inside or the outside or whatever. And they're always fixing it up and keeping it interesting.
That's so lovely. And you get not always the same people every year. You try sometimes to do that, but obviously you have a rotation of people that are coming.
Right. We try not to bring in someone 2 years in a row. So there's because there's so many musicians out there, so many great ones, and we only have 12 slots to fill.
Right.
So we do try to mix it up from season to season.
How far in advance do you book?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So next year's season.
Oh, it's all booked. Contract signed. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And even into the following season, a good portion of that is set.
Wow.
It is. I mean, because these are of such high caliber, you have to book them early.
Right.
If you can't expect them to be free, they're already booked, and so you can't get the Juilliard String Quartet for another couple of years.
Wow.
So,
and especially now, since the pandemic and people are kind of out there again, right? So so we're coming back in a different world. Now the 30th season of the chamber music here, this Sunday, yes. They're always on Sundays. October 2nd is, I can't get over the fact that it's October already.
I know. I've got flowers blooming in me.
Me too. It's October on Saturday, so I'm still thinking August. But anyway, October 2nd, this Sunday, Parker Quartet. Are there still tickets available for that?
There are, yeah.
Okay, and tickets at howlandmusic.org.
Right.
Again, the concerts happen at the beautiful Howland Cultural Center in Beacon, New York, and they're always afternoon concerts.
Yeah, that's by design. I think years ago they tried tinkering with that, and there was, revolt. The people who go to the concerts, as you can imagine, many of them are older, and they don't want to drive at night.
Right.
And so 4:00 seems to be a good time,
Yeah.
and it wraps up by 6, and everybody can get home.
Right.
It's also nice because then, if you want, you can go out to dinner, and Beacon has
Exactly.
got so many great restaurants.
Or do a late lunch and
Yeah.
come before and
right.
go home afterwards if
Right.
you want to do that. Yeah, Beacon and where this building is, it's such a beautiful place to just walk around a little bit too before
Yeah.
the concert.
Right.
October 23rd, you have Laura St. John on violin and Martin Kennedy on piano.
That's right, yeah. She's a very exciting violinist. She's played with all the major orchestras, the Cleveland Orchestra, the Philadelphia, Boston, etc. And so for her to come to Beacon and play in this tiny little hall, it's such a treat.
Special.
And such an honor. And I'm really excited about the pianist because that was a switch. We had someone else who was going to play. For whatever reason, they switched to another pianist and changed the program to a piece that includes a program that includes the violin sonata by César Franck. Now, if you don't know it, it's got this monster piano part. And ask your daughter, Caroline.
She may have played that.
Could be.
She may have played that at a recital because I know that name.
Okay.
And I think that's what happened. And it was with an accompanist of a
Yes,
piano.
Yes. And the piano part is just, it's like a piano concerto. It's so difficult. So I'm excited to hear that. And it's going to be a great concert.
And that's October 23rd, also a Sunday. And then Public Quartet.
Public Quartet. This is not your grandfather's string quartet. These people do really inventive programs. I think they've got Fats Waller and Duke Ellington on there.
Oh, man,
and
love
then
it.
they're going to play the Dvorak string quartet. They're going to improvise on it. So this is,
That's not classical music.
No,
they don't improvise.
no, they don't. But generally, there's some. But it's one of those groups that they're outside the box and they want to push the boundaries. So we're very excited to bring them in. I think that's going to be a very popular concert.
I bet it will be. It sounds a lot of fun.
A number of people. Yeah.
November 13th, and then you start again in January with the piano festival.
Yeah, we'll take December off. There's just too much going on.
Too much going on. Yeah.
And then the piano festival with 4 different pianists, 4 different weeks. Frederick Chu, the first one, has a really creative program. He calls it a smackdown. And he pairs 2 composers and kind of like a wrestling match or a boxing match. He'll have round 1, round 2, round 3. So in round 1, he'll play something by the Teenage Chopin, and then he'll pair that with something by the Teenage Mendelssohn. Play the 2 pieces, and then the audience gets to vote somehow. I don't know, to
Maybe
see
show of hands or something.
Yeah. And then he'll do the same thing in the second round, the third round, and then you pick a winner at the end. And he then aggregates this with other concerts that he's done of the same program in other places. And so you can go to his website and just see who's winning overall.
Right.
So it's a really fun and interesting way to present the music.
Yeah. It keeps it fresh and young
Right,
and
right.
all of that. And then you have 2 weeks later on January 29th.
Yeah. Speaking of fresh and young, Ju Wang won the Young Concert Artist competition last year. And I heard him play with the Leaf Peepers up in Great Barrington on that series, and he's just phenomenal. I mean, he's just like a kid, and he's all over the piano.
I love
In fact,
that.
he's the one I heard play the Franck violin sonata. So he was on the piano accompanist.
Got it.
And he's just, so that's going to be very exciting. That's called our Founders Concert. Every year we designate one concert in memory of Gwen and Bill Stevens, our founders. Promoting young musicians was very much an important goal of theirs. So every year we pick a young musician, present that musician, and that's our founders concert.
Oh.
So Ju Wong will be doing that.
And that's happening January 29th. And
Right.
again, we're talking about Howland Chamber Music at the Howland Cultural Center. The website is howlandmusic.org. They are in their 30th season of presenting world-class chamber music and pianists. On February 19th, you continued the piano festival with Drew Peterson.
Yeah, again, another young pianist. And for me, the highlight of that concert is a work by Maurice Ravel, his Gaspard de la Nuit, which Ravel and Debussy, when you listen to their music, it's this impressionist style, and it just sounds like pretty music. It's fiendishly difficult. And so I'm especially looking forward to hearing that piece. I think it's going to be a real showstopper.
And then March 5th, you have a woman, Gabriela Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez.
Martinez.
Yeah. And again, it's a very interesting program. I mean, she's a brilliant young pianist, but if you look at the composers, Missy Mazzoli, Caroline Shaw, Viet Quang, these are composers you don't hear of very often. And so we're very excited to bring not only new faces as performers, but new composers.
Right.
And
Contemporary composers, yes.
Most, I think all of those that I mentioned, they're all alive.
Right.
And writing music today, new music today, it's not, people often think of modern music as being kind of scary and atonal, but anything goes now.
Right.
You'll hear composers today and anything goes. And
Right.
so I think it's very approachable, it'll be an exciting program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now do you guys also put on children's concerts?
We do. Yeah. So what we've been describing is sort of our flagship series, 12 concerts. But then we do throughout the year 4, we call them Classics for Kids concerts. And during the pandemic, we did them outdoors at the park, Pete Seeger Park down in Beacon. And we had little stations throughout the park. And one station would be a string quartet, another one would be a bluegrass, and 4 different stations, 5 different. And then the families could just walk around and go from concert to concert, and it was outdoors, so it was safe. We're starting to move indoors now. So we did a concert just last weekend, the Instrument Discovery Concert, which is something we try to do in the fall when kids are going back to school and they have to figure out, gee, what instrument am I going to play? So it's a way to introduce them to the different instruments.
Oh,
so we had a string quartet and then a jazz combo play after that. And so that's our Classics for Kids concerts.
Yeah. And it's so great because we need the younger people to pick up these instruments and continue all of this. And the building itself, if your listeners haven't been to the Cultural Center, the Howland Cultural Center, it's just a treasure.
Yeah. I went to a lecture there, I guess it was last week. An architect came, or maybe he's a historian of some sort, to talk about the architect, Hunt, William Morris Hunt, I think it is. And he designed...
Richard Morris.
Richard Morris Hunt.
Yes.
He designed the breakers and the Biltmore Hotel and all these many homes in Newport, the base of the Statue of Liberty, the facade of the Metropolitan Museum, and then he did this little library in Beacon, New York, and it's extraordinary. You would think it was designed for music, for chamber music, but it was in fact a library.
A library, yeah. And that's the cool thing because the seating there is such beautiful hall. The acoustics, it's all wood, but you have the ground floor, I guess you call it, the main room, and then you can go up the stairs on a few different sides, and you can sit upstairs too.
Right.
And those seats are just as special, and the visibility is amazing.
Absolutely. To my mind, those are the best
Those
seats
are the
to
best
have.
seats. When I've gone, that's where I sit.
Yes.
I think I've sat one time there, and then, Caroline's like, Mom, we're going upstairs.
Yeah.
None of this downstairs
Right.
stuff.
I mean, you can hear well everywhere, but
Right.
you get this, it just blends nicely, and your sight lines are perfect up there.
Yeah.
People fight over those seats.
Yeah. And the sound is just spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the wood combined with this vaulted ceiling. It's, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 stories tall in the interior.
Yeah.
And so and the ceiling is this parabolic shape. So it just circulates around, and it just, I love love attending concerts there. I love playing there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, do you play there also? You should be like a warm-up, like while people are walking in and getting seated, have a little flute.
I don't want to scare them away.
Oh, you wouldn't scare them away. You're like
Someday I will.
award-winning person here.
I've done little things there, but not a full concert. At some point I will.
Yeah, I think it'd be lovely as people come walking in and there's just a little flute in the background.
I am so busy at that time before each concert.
Right.
I'm the guy at the door who's got to, do everything from sell tickets to make sure there's toilet paper in the bathroom.
Right.
It's all the above.
Right.
It's a busy day.
Oh, it's just such a wonderful place. So I hope you guys have a really successful season. Because of the limited audience seating, I really always recommend, get tickets sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I do maintain a waiting list, but I hate to disappoint people.
Right.
And so often people will call, say, are there any tickets left? And I just have to say, no, it's sold out. I can add you to the waiting list. But buy early, buy often. And if you buy 4 or more concerts, we'll give you a discount. It just applies automatically when you check out. So if you see something you like, buy a ticket.
You have membership too?
We don't have a membership, no, but we do have this exchange policy. So if you see something you like, it's in February, go ahead and buy it. If it turns out that day you're busy, you can exchange it for a future concert.
Perfect.
Yeah, assuming that other concert isn't sold out.
Right.
So there's flexibility, and people shouldn't worry about I might not be able to. It might not be free that day.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you also get disappointed, those that wait, and then, oh my goodness, it's sold out. So it really is better to buy early because you can always exchange it for another show. So it makes sense. HowlandMusic.org. I can't recommend it enough. I love the fact that we have the beautiful, which we were talking about before, Maverick concerts up in Woodstock for the summer. And then you kind of just pick up where they leave off.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, for me, the same kind of vibe, except, of course, Maverick is outside and whatever. But it's the same idea, right?
Yeah. I've been attending Maverick concerts for 40 years, since I was a kid. And so to me, that has a very special place in my heart as well.
Right.
And so I'm still going there every summer and as much as I can. And you're right. One just flows right into the next.
Yeah.
And we have a good rapport with everyone there.
There's chamber music here in the Hudson Valley that is alive and well. You can go to Woodstock in the summer, Beacon now, through the spring, and your programming is just, you get world-class musicians and you can see them with 125 of your friends. I mean, it's just such an intimate place. These people play, Carnegie Hall and all these other major halls, and here they are in Beacon at this beautiful building and world-class music. If you look around the Hudson Valley, there are just so many great opportunities to hear chamber music, classical music. Just this past weekend, there were, I think, 4 concerts I wanted to go to, all on Sunday. But we had our children's concert, and that's what, so I was there putting that on. Right.
But Newburgh has the Newburgh Chamber Music. That's a smaller but also a great series. Pauling concerts, Maverick concerts.
Yeah.
If you want to go further down to Westchester, you can find other things there.
Right.
The Chapel Restoration in Cold Spring. And during the pandemic, we actually banded together and we worked because to put on a concert and have no audience, well, how are you going to make that up?
Right.
So, you want to pay the musicians, but you can't sell tickets. So what we did is 4 chamber series got together, us, Newburgh, Pauling, and the Chapel Restoration in Cold Spring. And we made videos. We brought in the musicians and filmed them at the Howland Cultural Center. And then we jointly promoted these and asked people to make donations to our respective organizations.
Right.
So, we're not in competition at all.
Right.
It's just...
there's enough music out there for everyone to enjoy something, and it really is. But your programming is exquisite. And again, HowlandMusic.org this Sunday with the Parker Quartet, October 23rd with Laura St. John on violin and Martin Kennedy on piano, November 13th, Public Quartet, and then the Piano Festival begins January 15th, HowlandMusic.org. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
It's always a pleasure. What track did you want me to play next? Because we started off with you and David Temple, and then I have Kenneth Overton and Anthony McGill and Public Quartet. You pick.
Let's go with Kenneth Overton because he's the next one on the series. So why don't we hear?
Okay, yeah, perfect. So let's talk about this, and then I will say I thank you for your time here today. This is, you talk about this piece.
Sure. Well, Kenneth Overton is sort of a departure for us in a number of ways. And I should say this is Kenneth Overton's concert on March 26th is our 300th concert.
Wow.
Yeah, so there'll be a bit of a celebration afterwards. But we are really trying to sort of break the mold in not just with this concert, but in our series, and play musicians who are underrepresented and composers who are underrepresented, and every single person who performs, we ask them, please add something to your program that's by an underrepresented group.
Perfect.
And so Kenneth Overton kind of represents that. And you'll hear this. He's in this particular recording, he's performing live, I believe, a work by William Grant Still, who was really one of the great African-American composers of the early 20th century. And I've played some of his works on the flute, and it's just gorgeous, gorgeous music.
Well, thank you for sharing this lovely music with us. And I'll make the announcements every week during musical happenings of all the great things that are happening with the Howland chamber music. All this Howland gets me. Whoa.
Everybody, they think we're the same.
Howland Music Chamber Circle at Howland Cultural Center in Beacon, New York. Yes, one is a building, one is an organization.
Right.
So that's the way we go. But it's always a pleasure to have you
Rita,
on.
it's great to be here.
Your website?
Carl Gutowski, GUTOWSKI.com.
And you're playing a concert?
On Saturday.
On Saturday with David Temple.
Correct.
In Wappingers.
Right.
Great. And you want to see, hey, you got awards there, my friend. It's a beautiful thing. So thank you for your time. I'm just going to say thank you, and let's take a listen to Kenneth Overton here on 91.3 WVKR.
Weeping angel with pinions trailing and head bowed low in your hands, mourning angel with heartstrings trailing for one who in death's hall stands. Weeping angel, silence your wailing and raise your head from your hands. Weeping angel, on your pinions trailing, the white dove promise stands. Weeping angel with pinions trailing and head bowed low
.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. That was Kenneth Overton. And thank you to Carl Gutowski, our guest today here at LocalMotion. He is the concert manager at the Howland Chamber Music at Howland Cultural Center in Beacon. You can visit howlandmusic.org for amazing lineup of beautiful music at the Howland Center there. And keep in mind, it's a Sunday. They do concerts every few Sundays, and then the piano festival starts in January. So lots of great things happening there always, and it's just a wonderful place to see a show. And now it's 4:39. I'm your host, Rita Ryan, here each and every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m., bringing you LocalMotion. Now, the segment where I don't have a guest, which is right about now, I always start off the program with paying tribute to Tony Falco, who was the owner of the Falcon in Marlborough, New York. Well, he was way more than that, but that was what he was known for. And he passed away October of last year. And so he left us with a playlist, and I go through that playlist, and every week, and I just pick a track and play it, and this is the one that is picked for today. It's a track by Jesse Colin Young. 91.3 WVKR.
Sun has come, shine the darkness from my eyes. Yeah, and I wake up in the treetops, darling. Well, I got you by my side. There's a sweet smile on your face, and your hair is all undone. Yeah, and I feel that we are one when the morning sun has come. Morning sun has come, yeah, and I wake up with a smile. Oh, and I walk out on the ridge top, yeah, and I sit there for a while, and I watch a red-tailed hawk fly in circles around the sun. Yeah, and I feel that we are one when the morning sun has come. The morning sun has come, shine the darkness from my eyes. Yeah, I listen in the stillness, yeah, and I hear my little baby cry, and I look into the face of a life that's just begun. Lord, I feel that we are one when the morning sun has come.
top, hanging with the winners and the cream of the crowd. It's all just temporary. Remember that money don't make the man, as long as you're doing everything you can. It's all just temporary, 'cause everything comes and goes, no telling where the winds will blow. It's all temporary. Vexing in your vanity, wasting your time, seeking to find victory. Some time alone might do you some good. It's all just temporary, 'cause everything comes and goes, no telling where the winds will blow. It's all temporary, 'cause everything begins and ends. Don't get caught up chasing the wind. It's all temporary. It's all just temporary. It's all temporary. It's all
.913 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Andy Stack of Buffalo Stack with this single called Temporary. Andy is quite a musician. He's also a record producer, recording engineer. He's been touring with Yola all over the country. And it was so much fun. I saw him a few weeks ago at Bethel Woods with Yola was opening for Brandi Carlile, and it was just amazing. And Andy was there on stage doing his thing. Andy lives in Beacon with his family, and he will be doing a rare local gig because he has really been touring for a while now with Yola, and he'll be playing in Beacon this Sunday at the Town Crier, right on Main Street, towncrier.com. It is a free show. It's on the Salon stage, so I think it starts around 6 o'clock, and he will be accompanied by Lee Falco, who is the operator of the Falcon in Marlborough. So the two of them are exceptional musicians, both in their own right. And if you want to check them out Sunday, that's where they'll be, Town Crier in Beacon. We also started off with a track for Tony, dedicated to Tony, in honor of Tony, Falco. The track is by Jesse Colin Young. The song was called Morning Sun, album Song for Julie, which was released in 1973. And that is Julie's Tony's wife's name is Julie, so I wonder if he picked that. So I always start off here every segment that doesn't have a guest with a track dedicated to Tony, just to honor him. And he left with a really amazing playlist, so I always pick a track from that playlist and keep it alive, keep Tony alive. And we're going to keep the music going here. We have two more guests coming in. Thank you again to Carl Gutowski for being my guest during the 4 o'clock hour of Howland Chamber Music Circle and carlgutowski.com. Thanks to Chris for calling in and appreciating the beautiful music that we played by Carl earlier today. And right now, we're going to keep the music flowing. I have two more guests, 5 o'clock and 5:30. We're going to be talking with film people because guess what? Today is the start of the Woodstock Film Festival. Last week's guest was Myra Blaustein, who's the co-founder and executive director of the Woodstock Film Festival. So now we're going to be talking with some directors who have films that are coming out right now at the film festival. So first up at 5 o'clock, I will be joined by Marvin Sammel. And boy, what a film this is, I, Mordecai. So we're going to be talking with director and writer and director Marvin Sammel of I, Mordecai film, which is an indie film, and it's going to be screening at the Woodstock Film Festival on Sunday. And we'll talk more about that at 5 o'clock with Marvin, who'll be calling in. Right now, we're going to keep the music flowing. Let's take a listen to the lovely music of Sarah Parada here on 91.3.
Did you come through to me? How do we go on the other side? I've gone across the changing to stand inside this tidal wave, riding on the back of tomorrow. We set the course to fall. above.